The sun in Umuchi never rushed. It climbed slowly, like an elder rising from a low stool, stretching its light carefully over the hills. Each morning, smoke curled from clay hearths, roosters crowed as if their voices held up the heavens, and mothers called out to sleepy children to fetch water from the stream. Yet beneath this ordinary rhythm of life, Umuchi carried an old wound, older than any child playing in its compounds. It was the wound between the Okeke family and the Nomoni family. The feud had lasted so long that even the storytellers argued about its beginning. Some said it started with land, a strip of fertile earth near the stream that both families claimed. Others swore it was over a woman, a beauty named Adama, who chose Okeke and rejected Nomoni, leaving bitterness sharper than a spear. But the truth had long been buried by dust and time. What remained was hatred. Hatred that lived in proverbs. Hatred that mothers whispered while pounding yam. Better to eat sand than to share salt with a Nomoni. Trust an Okeke, and your goats will vanish. Children were taught these sayings before they learned riddles. Hatred became their alphabet. In this environment grew two boys, Obi Okeke and Chidi Nomoni. Obi was quick of tongue, sharp-eyed, the kind of boy who answered elders too boldly and got slapped often. His father, stern as an Iroko tree, always reminded him, "Never forget who you are. The Nomoni are snakes. Hatred is your shield." Chidi, across the path, was no gentler. Strong-armed, broad-shouldered, his laughter was as loud as his temper. His uncles poured venom into his ears. An Okeke's heart is poison. If you see him drowning, throw him a stone, not a hand. Strangely, the two boys mirrored each other more than they knew. Both loved wrestling, both ran like antelopes on the red soil, both fetched water with careless speed that spilled half the pot. They were like two sides of one coin, so alike it almost mocked the feud that separated them. But fate does not mock lightly. It arranges. One market day, the air was thick with roasted maize, the cries of traders, and the laughter of children weaving between stalls. Obi was chasing a stubborn goat that had slipped its rope when he crashed headlong into Chidi basket. Kola nuts scattered like beads across the ground, rolling into dust and feet. Chidi flared. "Blind goat. Your eyes are like your people, useless." Before words could cool, Obi's fist answered. A hard one, straight to the jaw. Chidi staggered but returned with a punch of his own. In seconds, the market square turned into a wall of dust, fists, and shouting. Mothers screamed, traders dropped their wares, children cheered as if it were a wrestling festival. It took the strength of 3 men to pull them apart, each boy spitting curses, each swearing never to forgive. The elders who watched shook their heads with heavy hearts. "It has begun again," one murmured. "This hatred has deep roots," another sighed. That night, each boy faced his father's fury. Obi's father whipped him with a thin cane until his back burned. "You shamed us," he barked. "If you fight, you must win. The Nomoni boy is not just another boy, he is your enemy. Do not forget that." Chidi's uncles did the same, their voices harsh like dry leaves in harmattan. "You let him strike you first. A Nomoni must never bow to an Okeke. Better to die standing than live shamed." The boys went to sleep not with guilt, but with fire. Each beating hammered the lesson deeper: to hate was to be loyal. Days passed, but the clash at the market became a story whispered on every lip. Mothers scolded their children with it. "Do not behave like Obi and Chidi." Young men laughed about it at the palm wine tappers' hut. Did you see how Chidi's head almost rolled like yam in sand? But under the laughter, the village felt unease. For the feud was no longer just history in the mouths of elders. It had found new roots in the bodies of two young boys, fresh and strong, eager to prove themselves. And hatred, once given new life, grows faster than weeds in the rainy season. The tree had been watered. The seed of hatred was not only alive, it was thriving. Years rolled over Omuchi like the slow sweep of a river. Boys became men, and the feud between Okeke and Nomoni did not wither, it blossomed, wide and choking, like a thorn bush no one dared cut. Obi Okeke grew tall and proud, his shoulders broad from farm work, his jaw hard from clenched anger. He carried the bitterness of his father like an inheritance too heavy to drop. When he wrestled, people said his fury gave him strength beyond his size. Chidi Nomoni too became a man of iron. He wrestled, hunted, and carried himself with the sharp pride of one who believed he was born to protect his people's name. Whenever he heard Okeke, his jaw tightened. Whenever he saw Obi, his fist itched. The elders whispered among themselves. These two boys are not just sons, they are the feud itself, walking. The festival came as it always did, with drumming, songs, and laughter echoing across the hills. Palm wine gurgled into calabashes, roasted yam filled the air with its scent, and children painted their faces with white chalk. At the center of it all was the wrestling ring, a wide circle of sand, where men tested their strength before the gods and their people. When Obi and Chidi were matched, the crowd fell silent. This was not play. This was history returning to the sand. They circled each other, muscles gleaming with palm oil, eyes locked. The drummers struck their talking drums, the rhythm sharp as heartbeat. Chidi lunged first. Obi countered. Sand flew, bodies slammed, sweat dripped. They fought like two storms colliding. Every grip was a grudge, every throw an old insult, every push the weight of 3 generations. When Obi finally pinned Chidi, he pressed too long, too hard. His hands dug into Chidi's shoulders as though trying to crush not just the man, but the family he represented. Chidi's breath rattled, his eyes rolled. It took 5 men to pull Obi away. The crowd roared with a mix of awe and fear. But not everyone cheered. That night, Chidiok's mother wept bitterly. "This hatred will bury us all," she said, rocking by the hearth. Her words fell like seeds on barren ground. After the festival, rivalry bled into everyday life. One night, the Nomoni barn went up in flames. Dry yam vines burned quick and hot, the fire swallowing the harvest of an entire season. The family screamed in anguish, their food gone, their wealth reduced to ash. They swore it was Obi's doing, though no proof was found. Days later, the Okeke yam fields were found slashed. Young tubers, ruined. Rows of crops destroyed by machetes in the night. Obi's father spat in fury, "If they want war, we will give them war." Soon, it was no longer whispers. Knives flashed in dark alleys. A calabash of palm wine left at a doorstep tasted strange, bitter. Stones were thrown when children of the two families passed on the road. The village was splitting in two. Women began walking to the stream in groups, fearful of ambush. Men sharpened machetes before leaving their compounds. Children learned quickly, never wander near the enemy's huts. Even the land seemed to suffer. The rains delayed. Goats gave birth to weaklings. Cassava harvests were thin. Elders shook their heads. When the heart of a village is sick, even the soil refuses to feed it. At last, the elders of Omuchi gathered beneath the great Udala tree, its branches wide as history. They poured palm wine on the earth, calling the names of the ancestors. "We are tired of burying hatred," they said. "We call for peace." But Obi's father stood with arms crossed, his voice sharp, "Did they not burn our fields?" And Chidi's uncle spat back, "Did they not burn our barn?" The meeting ended in more bitterness. The gods themselves seemed weary. Then came the morning when harmattan winds blew dust through every crack and corner, stinging eyes and drying throats. Chidi was returning from the stream with a pot balanced on his head when he saw it, smoke, thick and black, rising from the Okeke compound. Flames leapt like angry spirits, devouring thatched roofs, licking walls. Women screamed, children wailed, men shouted helplessly against the blaze. Chidi dropped his pot. He ran. Through the smoke, he heard it, a child's cough, weak and desperate. He pushed through the heat, the crackle of burning beams, until he found a boy pinned under a fallen roof beam. It was Obi's son. With bleeding hands, Chidi heaved the beam aside, lifted the boy, and carried him out into the open air. His own chest burned, his skin blistered, but he did not stop until the child was safe. The entire village saw it. They saw Chidi Nomoni, enemy by blood, carrying the future of the Okeke family in his arms. Obi arrived as his son coughed and wept in Chidi's hands. His face was torn between fury and something deeper, something he did not recognize. "You saved my son," he muttered, his voice rough as dry earth. Chidi's hands shook, wrapped in bandages of ash and blood. He looked at Obi and said simply, "A child has no enemy." The words hung in the smoke, heavy and undeniable. That night, when the ashes cooled, Obi walked to Chidi's hut. For the first time, he called him by name without spitting it. The two men did not embrace. They did not forgive centuries in a single breath. But for the first time, the wall cracked. Hatred does not die easily. It lingers like the scar of a burn, a reminder of pain that once was. The Okeke and Nomoni still argued at market, still remembered their wounds. But when their children played together, no one pulled them apart. In Umuchi, the people learned something new. Hatred is a fire that burns twice, once in your enemy, and once in you. And sometimes, only another fire can reveal the truth.